And you're back to Community Kitchen. We have our next guest online, Lyndel Miller. Good morning, Lyndel.
Good morning, Annette.
How are you?
I'm really well, and thank you for having me on your show.
Our pleasure. Co-author of Wild Sugar Desserts. What a beautiful book. Thank
you very much. A lot of love went into the book.
I love some of the recipes. They just make you want to have dessert, don't they?
Well, that's the idea. They certainly do. There's something to cater for everyone, I think.
I think the interesting thing, and as I always say to my guests, I do a little Google on my guests to see where you are. You're a food stylist. What does a food stylist do?
Well, ultimately a food stylist prepares food for the camera. So my job is to make it best that it can look. And I work in the areas of advertising, for commercial, for recipe books, obviously. But this was pretty special, working on Wild Sugar Desserts, because it was my own.
Mm.
And, it's pretty exciting. It's quite an obscure occupation.
Well, if your stylist's work goes to the cover of the book, it is just magic, and I'm sure that people will see that in the shops and just think, well, that is definitely something that they have to have on their shelves. You've actually brought back a few old recipes. I love this blackberry, elderflower and lemon mousse trifle.
Thank you. It's a bit of a twist on an old traditional favourite of mine, and it comes out of that chapter in the book, Traditional with a Twist. And I grew up in a quintessential 70s household with an entertaining mum, and trifle was always on the menu for a special occasion. So
it's interesting, isn't it, when you talk to different people, and like yourself, I come from a family. My mum was always a member of the CWA, and we lived in the bush, and the women did some fantastic things, but everybody had their style of trifle.
Yes.
And it's interesting how you've taken this to a whole different realm.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to make it a little contemporary without losing its the appeal of the old-fashioned trifle. So it's all the same elements in there. You've got your jelly with your fruit of choice, and I've made it really flexible because I believe in eating, with the seasons. But this one's blackberry, but with elderflower jelly, which is great with strawberries as well, and blueberries. And I give you the option either to make a lovely lemon Madeira, or you can buy your store-bought sponge, and the cream has a little flavour of lemon curd, which you can either do your store-bought, or you can try my lemon curd, which is also in the book, and it's made on honey, and it's really, really lovely and a nice combination, I think.
That's great. I noticed that you're using the leaf gelatin, and I mean, as I was saying earlier, we've watched so many I do. I watch cooking shows, I read books, and once upon a time it wasn't something that you would find, but now I notice it's on the shelves. Do you find this is an easier option to use?
I find it far easier to use. And it was one of those things when I started playing with gelatin that I was a little intimidated by it, because, I can use agar-agar sometimes, and I've used the powdered gelatin, but I find that the leaf gelatin is so much easier to use. It breaks down really, really quickly, and there's, less likelihood of error with the old leaf gelatin. So it is my preferred favourite.
I think it's fantastic. Now, another one in here, I mean, everybody loves a cheesecake, and you think back about the cheesecakes you've had over the years, and so I love the sort of old classic baked cheesecake. But what I love about this recipe is that you're using a yogurt in there.
I am, and this is a family favourite, the strawberry yogurt cheesecake. It's an adaptation of my mum's recipe, and it was a dessert that she used to serve in her health cafe many years ago down on the southern end of the Gold Coast, called the Healthy Bee, and it's fantastic. It's really light, really easy to use. It's very versatile. You can use your homemade yogurt, you can use your store-bought yogurt, you can have whatever flavour you like, and it still has that traditional base of biscuit base, and it really is. It's really something special. I never tire of it.
I noticed that in the little story you have. It's one of those things that you can bribe your children with, I think.
Absolutely. So my 10-year-old daughter does it quite often, and it's a real joy in our house. It was a recipe that I've been wanting for years to get up my mum, and so it's really, really nice to have it in a book.
I think it's interesting when you think back about some of those flavours, and I can remember that my mum used to make this fantastic ginger fluff sponge, and
sounds fantastic.
And really, I'm so cross with myself that I didn't pay more attention to what she did with all these things, because no matter how much you make it, you just can't get that right taste. And it was one of those things, and you're saying about these memories from your childhood, and you're bringing them now into your family, and you're sharing it with other people. That's the beautiful thing about food, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I encourage people to do that all the time, to learn from other family members. And if they have something really special that they've been putting on the table year after year, really nice if you can embrace that and carry it forward. Because, I even look at the book as a body of work, but I also look at it as a little bit of a memoir that I can pass down to my children. And I think that's really lovely if we can share our recipes, share our love of food together.
I think it's fantastic. And what we're going to do here, Holland Press have been very generous and they're going to, they've offered our listeners a book for Mother's Day. So we're going to be actually giving that away, yes. And so Mother's Day is a couple of weeks away, and we thought that your books are going to go to a couple of our listeners. And I thought for our competition, all they have to do is actually think about, mention a couple of the recipes that we've talked about, which isn't too hard, and I think that that's going to be lovely, because your book will then be in someone's home in the in our community up here. So once again, we're spreading that wild sugar dessert around a little bit further.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Thank you very much.
And it's a very pretty book. Thank you for joining us this morning, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy going and having a look at that book. And I often say, a lot of people say, I can't afford it, but even our local libraries nowadays are able to store these books, aren't they?
They are, definitely, and I hope that the listeners out there will take wild sugar desserts and make some sweet memories themselves.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Annette. Pleasure.
Bye.